Alrighty, so we are going to change the oil on a Lexus RX350, and the very first thing we're going to do is make sure we have all the equipment we need. We're going to need 6.5 quarts of oil, so that's, we're going to have 2 5-quart jugs. We have 6.5 quarts. We have paper towels because we're going to make a mess. I like to use gloves. I put baby powder inside the gloves just to make them not so sweaty. So I have baby powder from me. Make sure you have the right filter. I'm using a Fram in this case. I'm using Mobil 1 Extended Performance oil. We need an oil drain pan, and we need a couple of tools. We are going to need a 14 millimeter to take the oil drain plug out, and we're going to need a Toyota sized filter wrench, and of course we'll need some form of funnel, and we'll need a wrench for all that. So this is how we're going to start. All right, one of the steps that I like to do is I like to check the oil and see what it looks like after I usually change my oil every 5,000 miles. So we will check that out first. And golly, it is clear. So, oh, got a little wind there. But it's up to 5 quarts, and it's clear. It looks good. So we will continue on our journey. Golly, I can't do this in the wind with one hand, but I'm going to wind up putting some baby powder inside the glove and shake it all around. The reason I do this is because my hand gets really sweaty. We're in Miami, it's hot, so putting some baby powder helps to not get you so sticky feeling. So I'm going to put my gloves on like that. Now what I like to do is I put a piece of cardboard in here and put the drain pan underneath the drain hole, right? And that way when I'm done, I can just pull the piece of cardboard out and I don't have to reach in and try to grab the drain pan. So that's what we're going to do right now. First steps first, I drain the drain pan first, the oil pan first. So we're going to use the ratchet to get that off. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this one-handed, but I can sure try. Oh my gosh. All right, two-handed operation. Okie doke, so it's just dribbling out. It's time to put the plug back on. Be sure to wipe off the area underneath so you don't get any dirt up in there. It makes a tight seal, so be sure you do that done. And I will be putting the plug back in right now. And plug it in. Now we're tightening it down. Remember, don't get it too stupid tight, but make sure it's tight enough. Next is a trick shot. So what we have here are 2 gaskets, right? And I'll show you how those 2 go on. And we also have an emptying wrench. So this one is, I'll show you how this goes on, but we're gonna separate the canister. So we're gonna separate the bottom part of the canister, insert the drain plug, and then after that drains, we can take off the canister, the remaining part of the canister. So watch this. I want to point something out. So the Fram actually has a screw-on connector, which is really nice. Some of them have push-on connectors, which are very difficult to use to get that drain going. So I've, +1 for the Fram. I really like this gadget. All right, so here's how this works. We have an extension. I had to get the extension on there, and this bottom piece comes off. So watch this. See how this is coming off? So this is going to allow us to get some drain going. Let me see if I can get some of this off. It's going to drain a little bit on my hand. Don't be afraid of that. And now we're going to take this little gadget, we're going to screw it into that same hole that that other thing just came on. And when we screw this in, poof, we have some oil coming out. Screw it in nice and tight. Poof. So, we're going to let that drain for a little bit. All right, so it's done. Now what we're going to do is take that little plastic gizmo out. We will not need it any longer because we get a brand new one every time we buy a new filter. Now we're going to use the filter wrench and so there is going to be some oil that falls out from the filter, or could be. So be aware of that. I'll try to do this without the extension. Nope, not without the extension. All right, here we go. And we're going to loosen counterclockwise. And as soon as we feel as though we can do this by hand, I'm going to take the wrench off. There's some little wings on there. Perfect. Perfect. All right. Dump the rest of that oil out. Perfect. All right. So now we have two gaskets. Now we're going to take the old filter out. Oh, gosh darn it, can't do it with one hand. Okay, we're going to take the old filter out. We're going to put it in the new filter box, and then we'll work on the gaskets. Taking the filter wrench off requires a little bit of hand holding, so I'm holding steady on the filter housing. I have to rock the wrench back and forth, and it'll finally break free. And I forgot a screwdriver that I could use to take this gasket off, so now I got to go get a flat point screwdriver. Well, stage one will be we're going to replace the filter drain plug, whoops, with the brand new gasket. I like to put a little bit of oil on the brand new gasket just by habit. The situation is you're trying to make sure it seats properly, so place that right in there, just like, well, it doesn't seem to want to fit. All right, looks like it's going to be a two-handed job. Two-handed job complete. Now we're going to put the filter cover on it, screw it in, and we're going to hand tighten it with the wrench. I'm sorry, we're going to hand tighten it, then we're going to wrench tighten it. Not too strong. Remember, there is a gasket in there, and it's going to prevent any of the oil, so you're just trying to prevent it from falling off while you're driving. We're going to do the same thing on the filter housing gasket. We're going to grab a little bit of oil. We're going to lube this up, and I'm going to need two hands to make this happen. But we're going to place it right on the filter assembly. Gasket is in place, both gaskets. Now we're going to put the filter. There is not a top and not a bottom, so it doesn't matter which way you put this in, place it in. Now for me, I always fill up my filter with oil. Realize you can't fill it up all the way. You have to fill it up just a, it's going to not be a lot, but it's going to be more than zero. So that way when you start the engine, there's at least some oil in the system. So I am going to pour some oil in there right now. All right, as promised, we have a full cap And now we're gonna have to insert it. I'm not going to do this with the video. I'm going to turn off the video because I don't want to spill the oil all over the place. And once you get it started, then you can continue with the wrench. There's the wings on the side. Remember, you can use those. And remember, don't crank this down too much. I'll show you I'll post the specifications in the link in the video. And we got make sure you have the drain plug in. Yeah, drain plug's in. Make sure the filter's on. Good. Those are the two things you have to make sure of. And now we can pull the carpet out, and we're done on the bottom. Okay, so for up top, remember we are going to put 6.5 quarts in. The way we're going to measure this is we're going to put one entire 5 quarts in, and then we're going to pour 1.5 quarts into that 5 quart container. Remember, we're going to need the empty container for this this old oil, but that's how we're going to measure it. We're going to measure it 5 quarts first, and then out of the other bottle, we're going to pour 1.5 quarts into it. So let me start. I'm going to put 5 quarts in. Fortunately, I'm going to have 2 hands for this, and then we'll switch, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. All right, on the Mobil 1, we have a marking here. Here's 1 quart, here's 2 quarts. So about in between is 1.5. So I just poured 1.5 quarts from the brand new bottle into this bottle I just emptied. So this is our 6.5 quarts, and this is how we're going to measure. So now I'm going to pour this 1.5 quarts into our engine, and we're good to go. All right, next, put the engine oil cap on, oil filler cap. Sweet. All right, so now we're going to start our engine because we want to make sure our oil light goes off. So that's our little idiot oil light. Bam, it's off. It was fast. I don't hear any knocking. That's because we filled up the oil filter before we assembled everything. If you would not have filled up the oil filter, you would have wound up hearing some knocking noise, and that's just not good. So this is it. I mean, that's it. We're done. Well, now I have to get rid of all the oil and have to take it down to somewhere that will recycle oil. But that's it. It wasn't so hard. We've been out here for I don't know how long, but not all that long. It's not that difficult to do your own oil, and I recommend it. It gets you underneath your car. You know that you're putting in the right stuff. You don't have to worry about somebody making a mistake and not filling it up enough. It's just all around good stuff. It's like taking a shower. I hope that you enjoyed the video, and I'll talk to you soon.